Welcome, everyone. My name is John Stodmeyer, and welcome to the 2019 matchup with Plymouth Whitemarsh versus LaSalle College High School. Playing our second board here this afternoon is 11th grader Alex Spurka, and playing board 3 today, senior Austin Connect, and our two other remaining boards who are going to be receiving a forfeit today, a forfeit win that is. Board 4 is senior Anthony Petrilli, and playing board 5 is junior Marco Chan. We also have an alternate. Our alternate plays between both exhibition matches and board 5, and that is senior John Soon.
Very good. So once we get the aerial shot, there it is. We have a board back here with us, and we're gonna give you some commentary. I can tell you now that both players, they are in the beginning stages of a chess game. So there's basically 3 parts to a chess game. There is the beginning game, middle game, and end game. And the general idea for most players in the beginning game is to get control of those center 16 squares. You want to get your attack pieces out, which Jack, playing white, has done. He's already got his bishop out. He's got his queenside, knight out, and he's pushed 2 pawns forward. So he's got a good presence in the middle of the board, and his opponent also pushed his queenside pawn out and has what looks to be both knights out on the table. Yes, indeed, he does. It's all about positioning in this beginning game, especially with the higher ranked players. These guys are thinking way ahead of what a lot of avid or average chess players would be doing, even, Coach Stoudemire and I. And I'm Bob Culp. If I didn't introduce myself earlier, I apologize. We just kind of got this all started, and the players got rocking and rolling as fast as they could here. So, John, you want to take us through a couple of rules generally for the chess as I'm looking at the clock there at the top of the screen?
Okay, so a couple of rules that are in play as we compete. One rule is that if you are playing black, you have the choice of where it is that you would like the clock, whether you would like it to your right or left. That probably has a lot to do with whether you're right-handed or left-handed. Also in chess, we play a touch rule. So that means that once you have touched a piece, you are forced then to move that piece. So you can't go back and move another piece, or you can't change a move once you've reached and touched the piece. Sometimes you'll see the players reach out and almost touch that piece, but kind of pull their hand back. So it does kind of prevent essentially from changing your mind or changing a move after you've already made the move. Also, one other additional thing to mention is, as you can see with the overhead shot here, a clock is in play. So each player is given 1 hour. There is a 5-second delay, which that means is once the opponent has made their move, they'll hit the clock. That starts the opponent's side of the timer. But you have 5 seconds, so it's basically 5 free seconds before the timer actually kicks in. And they'll go back and forth. And as you'll see periodically when we do get the shot, the time will work itself down. If you do run out of time and there is no end to the game, then the opponent that has the time remaining is declared the winner.
Very good. So this is a little unusual that LaSalle only brought 3 players. Again, LaSalle has finals this week, and a few of the players have decided, possibly fittingly, that their academics are more important than this particular chess match. But generally the way it works is 5 players compete for each team. The home team, which is Plymouth Whitemarsh today, gets white on boards 1, 3, and 5, and the away team, LaSalle, gets white on boards 2 and 4. You have to, in order to win the match, you need to basically win a best of 5. Now, since LaSalle has forfeited boards 5 and 4, for Plymouth Whitemarsh to win this particular match, they only need to outright win one board. There are draws. Draws can be gotten through mutual agreement by the two players who don't see any point in continuing to play because nobody would win the game. Or draws can literally be gotten by players running down and having no pieces in which to put the other opponent in checkmate.
Bob, you might want to explain the importance of, and then maybe the difference between white and black.
So, certainly white, you would like to be white, so certainly the home team gets a slight advantage in that 3 of their players get to move first. And by basically moving first, you are 1 move ahead of your opponent. Not to say that you can't win on black. It's just a little bit more of a difficult, just a slightly disadvantaged position to be in order to move behind the first move. So we're going to get, okay, he's brought out the queen.
Brought out the queen.
All right, so we're getting an aerial look at the board here.
And that's always eye-opening when a queen decides to come on out.
Especially in the early part of the game. Again, the attack pieces in chess are generally your knights and your bishops, and Jack has 3 of his 4 knights and bishops out from behind his last ranks of pawns. His opponent, whose name we'll get very shortly here, he looks to have both of his knights out. He doesn't look like he has moved either bishop, but he does have his queen, which is the most powerful piece in chess. So a lot of people will look at who's winning a chess game by looking at the pieces or points that are on the board. Each of these 2 young men have captured a pawn, which is worth 1 point, from each other. The queen is the most powerful piece on the board at 8 points. Some even say 9 points. I'll have to get the double check with that. Rooks, which are, some people will call castle, but chess players will call them rooks, are worth 5 points. The knights and bishops are each worth 3 points, and the pawns are worth 1 point. So these 2 players right now have equal points on the board, but what's happening is that both of them are trying to position each other in the beginning stages of the game so that later stages of the game, one will have a greater advantage over the other.
You clearly want to try to take control of the center of the board, which it appears from this overhead shot that Jack has positioned himself to do so.
So can you talk, John, a little bit about the rankings of our current players?
So we, through outside tournaments, our players can participate in sanctioned chess tournaments. And when they compete in those tournaments, depending on how it is that they do and the wins it is that they accumulate, they are ranked. And the ranking or rating it is that's given to them individually is kept in the league statistics. And I believe currently at this point right now, our highest rated player, who you are seeing right now, Jack Lieberman, overall in the league, I believe he's rated about 5th overall in the league. Jack is currently 5-0. He has yet to lose a match this year. And he, very powerful player, very strong player. And our team overall, we are ranked currently 5th in the district, and that is approximately out of 24 teams or so that compete in the Lower Bucks County Chess League. And there are 8 teams out of the 24 that will make the playoffs. There are 4 divisions, so each top team in each of the 4 divisions will make the playoffs, and then they have 4 wild cards. The wild cards are determined by the number of wins it is that you have, and number through competition, and also board wins. Also plays a part, especially for tiebreakers, and we have a very large number of board wins at this point right now. In the course of our season, we have 21 and a half board wins in 5 competitions, and so we're doing quite well with that. So we'll see where it all kind of shakes out. Last year, the team finished in a wild card position, playoff position. In the quarterfinal round, Plymouth Whitemarsh defeated Hatboro Horsham. We moved on to the semifinals of the districts last year, which, by the way, was the first time the Plymouth Whitemarsh chess team had ever competed in the playoffs. And unfortunately, our run ended last year in a semifinal loss to Pennsbury High School.
Outstanding. So this is a league match. Plymouth Whitemarsh belongs to the LBC SCL. It just rings right off the tongue, doesn't it? But what that stands for is Lower Bucks County Schools Chess League. And, John, how many teams are in it this year?
I'm pretty sure, I believe there are approximately 24.
So there's 24 high school teams that compete. We are in a division of 6 of those teams, and we play the 5 other teams in our division twice. This will be the second time that we play LaSalle. You go there once, and they come here once. So this is our 6th match of the year. We beat LaSalle in the first match, 5 boards to 0. We're watching the LaSalle board 1 player. He's taken his time with this move, and I think it's fair to say that many of Jack's matches have probably gone the longest this year. His opponents know, number one, he's very good, and so most opponents tend to take as much of that hour as they possibly can, trying to go through all the scenarios they possibly can when they play Jack. So he has moved his bishop out to b4. So he could certainly strike at that knight that Jack has. Jack would not be able to move that knight because that would leave him in check. At this point, neither young man has castled just yet, but that's generally what will happen with younger players or more inexperienced players, and it's a good move to do. Those players will try to castle early just to get the king in a safe position behind 3 pawns. But the more experienced players who are, how should we say, a little more gravitas or a little more sophisticated in their thinking, they will tend to, again, position those other pieces on the board, and they'll castle when they have to. I would expect that all 6 of our players today, unless something odd were to happen, all 6 of these players will at some point castle. So you can see the clock there. That young man for LaSalle took his time in making that last move. He's got 52 minutes left. Jack is at 54. Jack by no means is a fast player. One of his strengths is considering all the moves far ahead to what most players would commonly think of. You see Austin Connect in the background there. He's on board 3. Austin is 4-1, I believe, this year.
Austin is 4-1 this year. Jack, so I'll give a quick rundown. That's an interesting move right there. So the rundown here. So Jack Lieberman currently is 5-0. Alex Spurka, our board 2 player, is 4-0-1. Austin Connect 4-1. Anthony Petrilli 4-1. And John Soon, I believe, is 2-1, and Marco Chan is 2-0. I think it is. We've kind of split some time between Marco and John with board 5.
That's right. Some teams will bring extra players, and they play what are called exhibition matches. Again, today, because of the dynamics of LaSalle having finals, this is kind of an unusual match. This is typically not how it plays out usually. And we usually don't get to play at CITV. This is
first time here.
Thanks to Chris McWilliam and his CITV team, we're getting to play this match for you on camera and getting to comment on it, getting to let the district kind of get a bird's eye view of some of these players and what they do. John, you want to talk about how you actually get to be on the PWHS team, which is now, you've already explained.
You must have been reading my mind, because if we have any viewers out there that have a younger child who will be coming to Plymouth Whitemarsh High School, we run a chess club. Bob and myself, bonus block at the high school. It is a kind of a period built in during the day that provides an opportunity to have clubs run and such. So with that, we between the two of us, we split a day or two during the week that anyone who's interested in playing the game of chess can come during bonus block, and get a good feel of who is basically good and who needs to be taught, and people who those students just want to come out and just kind of just play for pleasure. But from that, we generate the actual team, and the team has really kind of their practices are really kind of run through the bonus block that we have built in during the course of the school day. So we are always in need of good players. We were fortunate enough 2 years ago, Jack. We heard a lot about Jack 2 years ago as an 8th grader, that there was a really good player down at the middle school, and Jack came upon us last year and kind of showed his skills. And I have to say that Jack has leaps and bounds has improved on last year, and he, as stated earlier, he's one of the top players in the league, and we're going to have him. Nice thing is we're going to have him still for another couple of years.
Yeah, he's terrific. And again, as John said, we have the luxury of having a bonus block most days here at the high school, which is about a kind of a half-hour period between blocks 3 and 4. And it's really nice to see. I'll hold a chess club one day of the week, generally. John will hold another chess club day another day of the week. And it's nice, especially a couple of years ago, we were getting about 20, 28 kids at a shot playing chess of all levels. And it was nice to see a lot of different kids trying the game, socializing, having fun with one another. But when it comes down to the guys you're seeing here on TV, we will have the better players play each other either before school or during that bonus block period. And these guys,
these are the serious guys.
These are the guys that they're willing to give up their time after school every Tuesday for a league match. They're willing to commit to at least 10. As it turned out last year, it was 12 weeks as we went pretty deep into the playoffs. And we'll get the aerial shot. There it is. So, which is not necessarily untypical, but what you have here is you have quite a strong amount of pieces on the outside of those 16 middle squares. So Jack has an attack piece, the bishop, on h4, and his opponent still has his queen out there on a5 and his bishop on b4. So Jack can't move that knight on c3 because that would leave him in check. So he's kind of pinned in that position with that piece currently. Now, one thing, John, do you want to explain why these guys are writing on these pieces of paper that they have next to them?
So what you see the players doing is they're taking notation, and chess notation is very important for a couple of reasons. One being the fact that In case there's some kind of mishap during the course of the match, you can go back and you can rectify that by looking at each move that has been recorded. So that's kind of really important to do. And I know with Jack and Alex, our board 1 and 2, what they do is they take the game and then they input the moves that they made into, they kind of have I believe, a computer program on their phone, and it kind of takes you through and to see if indeed your moves were the anticipated moves of the program or the computer. So you can kind of learn that way as well. And our guys, our two guys, especially our top two guys, they definitely take advantage of that.
Absolutely. So, and it's funny, John talks about that computer program that these kids will punch their games into, and the computer program will kind of say, well, this might have been a better move and so forth. I think one of the grand masters of chess once said it. Yeah, chess is a struggle against error. You're basically trying to minimize your errors. And like a lot of games, like baseball and hitting, it's a game of defeat, and what you're trying to do is minimize those errors, minimize your mistakes, and hopefully in the end you'll come out on top. So there it is. John explained earlier that these players have to play with one hand, and it's a touch rule. So when you castle, a castle is taking the king to the rook. The king will go on. You can castle to both sides. He has castled to the short side, as his opponent has done as well. And then the rook flips over the king onto the very next square. And what you have is a very powerful position for Jack on that back rank. So he has two rooks aligned, which are basically connected rooks. So that means there's nothing in between on those squares on that rank, that back row, where Jack now has those two rooks. That's a very strong position and very desirable in the beginning and middle stages of chess. So while John and I were talking, quite a lot of bit has happened here. We've got to get our board.
I think we are updated.
Okay, we're updated.
Good.
You can see the time there. Generally, time doesn't come into play for most of our boards. I don't believe it's come into play for our board 5s at all this year. I don't think it's come into play on board 4. And I'm not even sure board 3. I'm not sure Austin has had a match come down to the wire.
Yeah, those boards tend to, as a whole, they tend to play a little faster. And so, yeah, time really is not a factor. They are a little quicker with their moves, a little impulsive at times. But
and quite honestly, to say it this way, is that the top chess players, they have more moves to think about because they're thinking so far ahead.
Good point.
Some
they're
of the
thinking way
players.
ahead. Yeah, 5, 6, 7 moves ahead.
So they're doing. It literally takes them a lot more time to think about all the possibilities that are on the board than certainly a beginner would play. If you came to chess club, those games go lightning fast because those kids they're not aware of all the different possibilities that a player may have. These guys, though, they're thinking. And so Jack's, of his 5 matches, I would say 3 have gone to pretty short time. Yeah. Either for he or his opponent.
Yeah, they have. They've gone kind of down. He's definitely taken advantage of the weaker player. And 1 or 2 of those matches he was able to finish off relatively early. Now it is Black's move.
As you can tell, it's always easy to tell if we were talking about something and you're kind of wondering whose move it is. All you got to do is look at the clocks and see whose is counting down. While we're waiting for this move, we want to thank the CITV crew we mentioned earlier. So our executive producer today is Tom Peeler. An associate producer is Alex Kraus. Our technical director is Jack Svita. Our director is Jason Wyke. And our two guys on the camera are Ty Green and Nick Cruz, who are doing a fantastic job of giving us, especially on board one here, views from all different angles.
Thank you, guys. This is a wonderful presentation and the first time presentation of the 2019-2020 Plymouth Whitemarsh chess team.
And while we're giving credos and shout-outs, I certainly want to mention our two ADs that are kind of responsible. So he has moved his bishop back to E3. So he has put a 3-point attack piece in those middle 16 squares. You haven't seen a lot of captures yet. The only two pieces that have been captured for each player is 1 pawn. So they each have 1 point off of the board. Again, this is a lot of positioning. We just had an aerial shot of Jack's card there. All right, so it looks about 10. It looks like about 10 moves we're into for each player at this point, maybe 11. But as I was about to give the shout out, I'd like to thank our ex-athletic director, Charlie Forster, for allowing us to become part of the league. And I want to thank R.J. Bretz, our current AD, who just recently got us some new boards, some new pieces, and updated some of our materials.
New clocks.
So these guys have been very supportive of having a chess team. While there are 24 teams in the league, not every high school has a chess team. There have been some teams that have folded over the years. Last year, I believe we had Gwen and Mercy, right?
It was Notre Dame Academy.
Oh, Notre Dame Academy. Thank you for correcting me. They were in the league for 1 year. Things weren't able to kind of hold together. They weren't able to substantiate a full team throughout the year, so they weren't able to field a team this year.
Yeah, it is nice. We definitely get a lot of support, which is really, really nice. And a lot of teachers ask about how the team is doing and how the players are making out. And our chess team name has gotten out there a little bit, especially after the run it is that we made last year. So we just gotten word. I think we're going to be switching things up here a little bit. I think we're going to jump to another board. So we can kind of take a peek at how some of our other players are doing. Hopefully, momentarily, that will happen.
And again, normally we'd have 5 boards to look at here, going about 10 minutes into each player, so about 20 minutes total into the match. You would have 5 different boards. So
there we go.
Here we are. We're at board 2. This is Alex Spurka. Again, he's playing black since he's on an even-numbered board at a home match. And his opponent, actually there's kind of a rare case where nobody has a piece right down that middle rank there on 4. But looking at the board, it looks as though, and we've switched over to board 3.
Now we're getting a lot of different looks here. We got board 3. This is Austin Connect, senior.
And the one thing you can see immediately is both players have castled, and it looks to both the short side, I believe. But you can see that because the king is on the outside behind a few of those pawns, and you've got the rook, an attack piece and defensive piece, protecting the king. So that king is well protected, and I imagine if that bottle of water wasn't there, we would be able to see his opponent's...
I mean, you can't see through that bottle of water.
Is that translucent? He's also castled. And back to board 1. And we've got this board here back in our studio with John and I. And again, it's hard to say what will happen next because these are real high-level players. And honestly, Jack is a better player than me. What would you say for that, John?
And a better player than me as well.
We like to think that we're pretty above average players, but Jack is on a different level.
He is on a different plane, that boy.
He's rated over 2,000.
He's outstanding.
And so Jack, what we might say would be a good move in the more immediate game, Jack's thinking 4 or 5 moves ahead of what your average, above average chess player is thinking. So it's kind of fun to watch Jack. He actually caught us by surprise in the last match. He made a couple of moves that we looked at and were kind of questioning, although I don't want to use that term because we don't really question Jack.
No, we
point.
don't.
But he wound up forking his opponent's king and queen, which is using the knight to put the king in check, where he has to move the king, and then you're going to capture the other piece that you forked, and in what case was the opponent's queen. It was a brilliant move, a brilliant series of moves.
Oh, it was wonderful to watch. It really was. For those of you that are chess fans, and he did an outstanding job. Jack is that player. And it looks like we just received the names of the 3 players for LaSalle, which will be helpful here. And Bob, if you let us know.
Yes, this young man who we're looking at there he is. This is Chase Vitalich on board 1 for LaSalle. We have on board 2 for LaSalle, John Cureton. And on board 3, there's Evan Cohen. As you can see, there actually in this particular game there have been quite a number of captures. So how can you tell that? Well, you look over at Evan's water bottle here, and there's a knight off the board. There is a rook off the board, and what looks to be 2 pawns off the board. And looking over at,
it looks like Austin has 4 pieces over there. A bishop.
Actually, it looks like he has 5, right?
Yeah.
He has 2. He has 2 knights, a castle, a rook, a pawn, and a bishop.
And it also looks like Austin's queen is way down there by the opponent's king.
Oh, yes. And you can see his queen is covered by his bishop.
Wow, very interesting here.
So this young man is in check, and he probably does not have a lot of options.
There might be a pawn there in front of that queen. A little tough to see. It is Austin's move. Yeah, it was. And he does move the queen back. Now he's going to force his... Now he has evened up his queen with his opponent's queen. So we'll see if his opponent decides to
I won't say take the
queens
bait
here.
because it may not be Austin's idea in order to actually have his opponent take his queen, in which Austin will then take his opponent's queen with the bishop. Again, it just may be a position, and he would, well, you never know. And this young man is writing his notation down. Some players will write their notation after they move, and some players will write their notation down before they move.
Which would lead you to believe that he knows what he's going to do here. And he does.
And he does.
He moves the rook.
He didn't change his mind. So it looks as though, hard to see, it looks like that is on. He's playing black. Austin is playing board 3, so he gets white. His opponent gets black.
So it looks like he moved that to...
Just trying to take a bird's eye view of this. Well, not a bird's eye view, but a side view. Oh, now we're back to
this is
board 2.
2.
And there's been a lot less capture in this particular game, although they have traded 2 attack pieces.
And Alex has just slid his rook out of space.
Alex has his opponent's bishop, and his opponent, who is John, has Alex's knight, which are equal. Some players prefer a knight over a bishop if they were only given 1. I prefer a knight myself. How about you?
Yes, I like the knight because, well, first off, the bishop can only move diagonal. And the knight, of course, always kind of been taught that it moves in the L shape. So up to over 1, I guess, is maybe the best way to describe that move.
Right. You can't, it's tough to, you actually can fork someone with the bishop as well. It can be done.
It can be done.
But that's much more rare than forking with the knight.
Oh, and here we are back to board 1, and it is Jack's move.
And this has been the board of the least capture. All that's been captured is 1 pawn each. As we typically said, the time is running down, and these guys have probably made the least number of moves per the 3 boards. Again, I wouldn't even attempt to anticipate what Jack is going to do. Only in moves where he is forced into a particular move would I'd be able to predict that. This is the board with the second amount of least captures.
And it is LaSalle's move.
But they are definitely positioning themselves. Alex has yet to move out his queen, or move his queen at all, for that regard. But he has castled. His opponent has castled, because you can tell there's no rook right there closest to you on your screen. It's flipped over to the other side of the king. He's got his pawns out there in a nice defensive position. Good chess players will take care of that king. They will make sure that that king is in a safe spot.
All right, so we're back here with board 1. We'll get an
Thank you for the overhead shot. Now we can tell
shot.
it is LaSalle's move. He looks like he just wrote in his notation there.
All right,
So it's
looks like we have Jack's kind of forcing a little bit of a bishop move here. We'll kind of see how this plays out. We got a bishop on bishop here.
Yeah, it would sort of make sense that Chase, the LaSalle young man, will take Jack's knight. Jack is sort of forcing that move. If he doesn't, Jack could go down.
Be an interesting move here. See, everyone's waiting with it. There it is.
He does.
Bishop. He takes Jack's bishop. And that is the first piece taken, Robert.
No, they both have a pawn off the board.
Do they?
Yeah. And Jack decides to take with the knight. So he did not use his pawn there on 2H to go to 3G and capture that bishop. He's leaving that pawn there because that's just a better, stronger defensive position for that king. You open yourself up to some possible issues later if you take that pawn out of that row. So believe it or not, if I'm looking at those clocks right, 17 and 23, about 40 minutes have already gone by in the match. So it is a time limit sport. They do not have unlimited time. And while the 1 hour time limits rarely come into play, again, like we said, it has come into play a few times for Jack, and I believe Austin has come down to at least one match, possibly two,
Yeah, I
on
think
some
he
short
has as
time.
well.
Like bowling, you can enjoy a snack while you play chess. It's not a sport in which you can enjoy a little water or a little snack. I've actually been the bowling coach, and some people have actually made comments about that, like an activity in which you can enjoy snacks while you're doing the activity.
You're not having snacks in the middle of a football practice, that's for sure.
No, you are not. You're not having water in bottles and goldfish in this case, as we can see there in the background. Now, as you can tell here, like, hey, where'd this opponent go? You are able to get up. So
I think
there
he is
is
sitting
no,
there. He's
there
kinda
is
off
no
to the side.
particular rule that says you have to stay in your chair for a straight hour.
That's true. Often you'll find some of the players will get up, stretch a little bit. They'll walk around. Actually, watch one of the other boards that are playing.
So Austin generally is our first person out of the chair.
He usually is. I'm surprised he hasn't been up and around yet. Man, it looks like.
Okay, he's moved that rook a few times in the last few opportunities for him to play. These guys actually don't have a lot left on the board. They are definitely in the stages of what they would call the middle game. They have cleared a number of the attack pieces. Austin has his queen in the center of the board, as does his opponent Evan. And when I say the center of the board, I'm speaking about the middle 16 squares. And pretty soon, this game will move not to who has control of the middle of the board. They'll have moved beyond that, and pretty soon it'll move in toward the end game because the pieces or lack of pieces will dictate that. And I don't know that any of our boards will get to this point, but it's always neat to kind of see the very end of a game where you actually have to use the king to come out and be an attack piece.
Yes, you don't see that too often. And we're just kind of perusing around here a little bit and get a shot at each of the different boards.
You see a phone there. That's actually slightly unusual. I'm sure he's turned it off because Alex has been around quite a while and knows. But one of the rules in this league is phones have to be turned off. Even if a player gets up, they can't have their phone on. They can't have it in their pockets. That's a no-no. And that's not even chess etiquette. That's a league rule, is that phones have to be turned off. They can't have any access to any technology. They are here to play chess against their opponent, and they are representing their school.
Yeah, there's definitely some integrity that is part of the match, and keeping to that integrity is an important piece. And our guys, Plymouth Whitemarsh does a very good job with that. They have grown a lot together over the course of the last couple of years. These guys have been playing together for a few years, and it's kind of nice to have a core group come back year after year. We do graduate 3 seniors. You can see one there. That's all on the right. That's Austin Connect. Austin is a senior. Joined us a few years ago, and he has made some remarkable strides through the years, becoming a much better player, stronger player for sure. I can remember back when he was like a freshman or a sophomore, and he'd come into chess club, and I'd put him away as quick as he came in the door.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there was 2 years ago, he loved chess more than he loved Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi.
There we go.
But it would be neat to see the aerial view of boards 2 and 3. But here we are. We're back on board 1. Jack has taken his time on this one. You can see the time is almost even here. And Jack has a nice, strong presence. Okay, so he has gone with his knight to f5. So he has opened up a couple of options with that. Austin and Evan, they certainly were moving pieces a lot quicker and capturing a lot of pieces in the early part of the game. Now they've slowed it down a little bit. There's a lot less pieces on the board. But as far as who's winning, so Austin has captured 10, 13, and if that's a pawn, is that a pawn behind that bishop in the corner there?
I believe it. It looks like it.
Okay, so if that is the case, so 16, 17, 18.
Oh.
Hey,
The
okay.
queen coming down.
Things are getting interesting.
Second rank
So,
here.
Believe it or not, yes, they are getting interesting. So just to double check again, I'm looking at rook, which is 5, 2 knights, which is 3 each, that's 11, pawn 12, pawn 13, and a bishop, that's 16. So Austin has 16 points worth of pieces. So if Evan takes a drink of water, which would be ideal here, is there any way to make that room really hot? Get him thirsty? Can we turn up the heat, Mr. McWilliams? But Evan has a rook, 5 points. He has certainly a pawn behind that rook. That's a total of 6.
And then a
Another
knight.
pawn, that's 7. He has the knight, that's 10. And there's another piece behind the water bottle for sure. You can see the color. But I guess we could probably do it by the board here. Some of these pieces are a little difficult to see because they're in perfect symmetry.
Yeah,
in
just
their rows.
the angle there is a little tough. Oh, there we are, back to board 1. And our player, Jack Lieberman. And it is Chase's move.
Yes. Yes, his clock is counting down. And you can see that both players have the option right now to capture pieces. There's a couple pawns that each player could capture, and I don't know that there's any attack piece that either one could capture on this particular move. No, not according to our board. But there are some pawns out there. So, again, though, what these guys are trying to do is, it's hard to say whether they're still in the beginning stages of the game and they're starting to move into the middle stage of the game here. There's a fine line in where those two cross over.
Of course, what you and I are thinking is probably not
Exactly right. That's exactly correct. Again, I've come to learn to not to really try to understand how Jack plays. He's just at another level, quite honestly. And I wish for a month that I could be at that level.
And here we see our 2-player, Alex Spurka. Alex has been with us for 3 years. He was another highly,
Middle school prodigy?
Another highly touted
He was.
individual coming out of the middle school that we had heard about, and quickly joined up with us and has been
He's lived up to the hype as well.
He has been. He's been solid. There's no two ways about it. He's been solid.
So honestly, the two guys that we heard about coming out of the middle school are board 1 and board 2 player, and they have a combined record this year of 9-0-1. That's pretty darn good. These guys can play a little bit.
And you can see here,
he moved his water bottle.
He moved his water bottle. We get
So,
an idea. He's got a bishop.
It looks like they're even, actually, in points. So if we look at this board long enough, we could probably give you an idea of maybe who has a little bit better position on the board. Both of these guys don't have now a traditional defense for their king. So Evan has pushed some pawns, and he's also pushed the king up another rank. Austin has pushed all of his pawns up a rank, so he has no pawns on their starting rank. We're back to Jack here. This will be the match that we'll be covering last. Why is that? Because this is the one that will probably go the longest. As you can see, they've got a full complement of pieces with the exception of one pawn and one bishop each, which is 4 points. They each have a total of 4 points of their opponent's pieces. And it's all about positioning. And this is all, it'll all unfold later. But no doubt that these two young men, of everybody sitting in this school, let alone the room, these guys will make the least amount of mistakes. They're good players. So as we watch, here we are, we're on board 3. Austin is writing in his notation, as is Evan. So somebody, he's either just made a move.
It looks like Austin's made the move because it's now on to Evan. And his clock is moving.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. So there are a number of pieces that are being threatened for both of these players. It's just a matter of which one are you going to take, or which one, what other piece are you going to move? So they only have, as we look here, I see a queen, what looks to be a bishop behind his opponent's queen, and a rook. Are they the only 3 non-pawn pieces that are left on the board?
That's what it appears to be.
Each?
Oh, looks like opponent's going to get ready to move here.
And
he does.
we capture a
takes
pawn.
a pawn.
It's a pawn.
Now, for those of you watching at home here, now you might think things are moving kind of slow, and they are. However, you will, and things really, as you get closer to the end of the match, things really get amped up, and you may notice people may be moving, opponents and alike might be moving a lot faster. Fast and furious.
Where's the rock? So what we've seen in the last 2 moves here is, as there's been some action, we've seen Evan capture Austin's pawn.
La pawn.
And we have actually seen Austin capture Evan's bishop. Now that's not a trade that's desirable for LaSalle. That was a 3-point piece captured to a 1-point piece from PW.
So it appears to be a great move.
The question is, right, if we can see a lot of those pieces are in line there, I wonder if there's an opportunity for another pawn or a trade that would bring the game back to even. But if it doesn't, then it looks like Austin is going to be up 2 points.
That would be advantage, Plymouth Whitemarsh.
Yeah. Because his pieces, he's got more pieces that have more ability to do more things. That's how the pieces are rated. Pawns can only move, well, you can move a pawn out 2 squares on the first move and then only 1 square after that, and they can only capture by moving 1 square diagonally. They're great for defense.
And it looks like it was advantage,
yeah,
Plymouth Whitemarsh.
How about it?
Kind of sounds like a little bit of a tennis match there.
And remember, because of the 2 unfortunate forfeits for LaSalle, for PW to win this match and remain where it is in the rankings and in the league, we just need to win one of the 3 boards.
One of the 3 boards, and we will extend our record to 5 wins and 1 loss.
There have been years, and when we first started this program, there had been some years where we had some good players, but we didn't have good teams.
Yeah, wins were few and far between.
And we would play LaSalle, and they would beat us pretty bad. Yeah. There would be a lot of times where we would lose 4 boards to 1.
LaSalle has had some. They've had some nice teams over the years. We've had some nice battles with them, and they've definitely gotten the best of us in the past, and seem to have
that was
turned
Austin.
things around
That was
a little
Austin moving his queen.
Yeah,
there.
I saw
and
that.
It looked like he was.
He did move his queen. And what did Austin take? Is the question there. I don't know.
His opponent looks to have, it's hard to, I think he only has a rook and a queen left. Now behind that queen is a bishop,
Bishop
and then
for
behind
Austin.
that it's hard to tell whether it's a bishop. Well, let's look over at Austin's pieces. He's got one bishop over there that we can see of his opponent's. And I believe he has two. Yeah, that's another bishop in front of the queen. So he's got both the bishops. So
Advantage, Plymouth Whitemarsh.
yeah, Evan has a
Ooh.
queen and a rook.
Oh, I see. I looked like a mistake. I was just going to say the mistake in his eyes. He made the move. He looked back. He wanted to take it back, and down comes the bishop to take the rook.
And they both kind of realize there. Again, if you touch the piece, number one, the rule is you have to move that piece. If you still have it in your hand, you don't have to necessarily put it on the square that you might have intended to.
He let go.
He let go. But once you let go of the piece,
He let go, and there go the rook.
so Austin is in a great position to win board 3.
Advantage, Plymouth Whitemarsh.
Yeah, he's looking good on board 3. Not to say it's won. Austin can make a mistake just as Evan made that slight mistake there.
So here we are on board 2, and it looks like not a whole lot happening here on board 2.
Now, wait a minute. Oh, they have an... well, that answers the question of where the extra white queen went, because did you see the 2 white queens on the outside of that board?
Yes, there seem to be extra pieces
They
there.
have a lot of extra pieces.
Not to confuse anyone who's keeping track at home. Didn't mean to throw you off.
Every chess set comes with 2 extra queens in the event that you happen to cross a pawn, and if you cross a pawn in chess, the reward for that is you get to have any piece that you want, and most players would elect to have.
Well, it looks like the opponent here
queen
just took a knight, and that is John from LaSalle just took Alex's knight. Or captured.
All right, there's a lot happening.
There's a lot
here.
happening now. As I said,
we're
once
playing catch up as fast as we can here.
things start to get rolling here, it's the moves. It's fast and furious.
So,
Austin just captured his opponent's
and not
pawn.
to say that these guys need to be rushed, but it has been. We are about an hour into the match total, so these guys are on the downside of time. And what Evan's going to have to pull a rabbit out of his hat here. He's going to need to pull off a mini miracle.
For sure. He's at a distinct disadvantage at this point right now.
So he's going to need to start pushing some pawns. And, well, no, okay. Now, he did just capture Austin's bishop.
Bishop, and Austin takes
Pawn.
a pawn.
So Austin is up what looks to be 10 points. He's got 2 more pawns. And
This is all set up, Bob. He's going to move those pawns, push those pawns right down, and he is going to cross the pawn and get another queen.
you think he's going to cross the pawn before he ends the game?
I think he's going to try to cross before he ends the game. I don't know. Bob, we've both played Austin a number of times. I think he's looking at trying to pass those pawns and get himself another queen. We'll see how it unfolds. It remains to be seen.
Yeah, he certainly has the pieces in order to achieve a checkmate.
Oh, here we're back to
without
board 1.
Crossing a pawn.
Back
But
to
we'll
board
come back
1.
to that, because this is board 1. And you know what? Regardless, that's one of the cool things about chess. Even if Austin winds up winning this board and technically giving the match to PW, there are still boards to be won. It's not as though the match is over just because you won the best of 5.
You're playing for an individual record as well.
Right. You're not only playing for your individual record, but when it comes to league standings, the first tiebreaker is the number of
boards
wins.
that are won. Yes, exactly. So we want to try to win as many boards as possible, and we actually have done so. We are second in the league overall in the total number of board wins.
So while LaSalle may not be able to overcome the 2 forfeits by winning all 3 of the boards of the young men who are playing here today, listen, it would be a victory if they were to actually even walk out with 2 boards. I would think, based on the last match, if they were to win 2 of the boards and we were to only win 3-2, that'd be kind of like a boost if they were to win 2 of the actual 3 boards we're playing here today. So Austin,
there we go.
He's pushing pawns.
Could it be?
Coach Stoudemire may be correct.
We'll see
Now,
how
they're not
this
on
plays
short
out.
time, so there's no race. There's a lot less options that Evan can play because
He just doesn't have that many pieces.
Yes, of his lack of pieces. But that's not to say that he doesn't have. He has a queen. So when you have a queen on the board, you always have a chance.
Certainly to make things happen. That's for sure. He's going to have to bring that queen back.
And at some point, I guess if we stay with this board long enough, or we come back to this board, the one threat that always kind of lurks in a player's eye when they have a huge lead like Austin does here is what's called a stalemate. But if Austin pushes a pawn across and he gets a second queen, the chances of a stalemate are almost nil. But
all right, so we're back to board 1 here, and it appears to be Chase's move from LaSalle.
yep, his clock is
Oh, there we
winding
go.
down.
And we can kind of match.
Actually, Jack's on the short time now.
Jack down to 26 minutes. Chase at 31 minutes. We can kind of see if we can match our board up if we hold that shot there for a minute. Kind of see. Make some. Well, we're back to 3.
Back, and Austin has pushed his pawn again.
Oh, there's a surprise.
I'm not saying that he wasn't going to push the pawn across. I just said I wouldn't be shocked if he tried to use his queen and rook combo.
Well, clearly, Evan has to move his queen here. He cannot trade queens.
And he does.
Oh, Austin didn't touch. He did jump at it, though. He got a little impulsive.
So, again, and listen, these are high school teenagers. The reality is it's hard to, quote-unquote, sit on your hands when you think you have something and you want to make a move. But and that's one of the things we usually see at the chess club. We see a lot of impulsive. Hello.
And that would be check.
So I believe his only move is
He's got one move
to
here.
push that king up to the second rank.
What would that
Which would
be?
be H7.
H7, yeah.
And then it'll be
Things are.
now. This is always one thing that puzzles me personally. When you only have one move, when
Why
there's
do you
only
take
one
so
move
long?
that you can possibly make? Why do you let? Now he didn't let a lot of time. Right?
No,
that was only.
he really didn't. And we're playing a little
but
bit of
Austin,
check game
Austin
here.
goes for a quick. Austin is going to trade the queens.
Yes, he is.
Austin has forced Evan.
He has no other move. He has no.
He has no other move but to trade.
trade queens,
here.
and then
unless he were to lose his queen and move his king, which he wouldn't do. Yeah,
when they trade queens, you know what's coming next.
Yes,
Pushing of La Pons.
Le Pons. And Austin will get that queen back, and his opponent Evan won't have a queen on the board. So he's forcing Evan to take the queen. Austin will then take with his pawn. The queens will be off the board for
Advantage, Plymouth Whitemarsh.
Oh, whoa!
Wow, and
So
Austin-
he kind of did it a little differently, but
He did do it a little differently.
he's now going to take with the queen, or excuse me, the king. He will take Austin's queen. That played out a little differently then.
Just slightly, but still same result. And here it comes.
Now,
Austin is going to do that.
Let's see what Evan does here. He's in a world of trouble.
He sure is, because he can't even cross the king to come over to take the pawn because the rook is covering that
in
rank.
rank. So his king is pinned into a very small part of the board.
Oh boy, we're just delaying the inevitable.
It is. This is just a matter of how many moves this one goes. Austin's wasting no time. Literally wasting no time, as it is a timed game.
That is true. With the 5-second delay, there's no time. That is.
Absolutely. Now, years ago, we actually had clocks that didn't have the 5-second delay, and that unnerved a few opponent players.
That it did, unfortunately. I mean, at the time, we just didn't have it in the budget.
In the chess budget.
In the chess budget, but thanks to R.J. Bretz and the Plymouth Whitemarsh Athletic Department, they were able to
rectify that.
Upgrade us.
Yes,
and
upgrade, even better.
Make us official.
So Evan is pushing, and it's now come down to it's going to be 3 pieces on the table, but here comes Queenie Pie.
Queen and rook.
Here comes.
I mean, now the only hope here, Bob, is and the opponent just somehow thinking that he can force a stalemate.
Yes, that it is. There is always that small window of hope. And you want to explain to everybody what a stalemate is?
A stalemate is that the opponent
There it is.
is
Queen
not
is
able
back
to move the king.
Without putting himself in check.
Exactly, without putting himself
So
in check.
the idea of this game is to put your opponent in checkmate so that he's in check and he can't move without getting out of check. But it's called that stalemate if Evan can somehow find a square.
It's going to be tough.
And have Austin make the mistake of
It generally happens
moving
when you
a
get
piece.
Yeah, it generally happens when you get kind of backed into a corner.
So he decided to move his
this
player
is-
back, but Austin's a board 3 player. Listen, Austin's won a lot of games. I doubt very much. Now, he really only has 3 moves, and they all are to the first row.
This is coming to an end very, very soon. Just a
So
matter
he's going to
of...
move over. Austin will then probably move the rook over next to the king. He'll move back or forth 1.
And then that'll be it.
And
Yep, there we go. And the
And
next
then-
move after Austin's opponent has moved.
will he even make that move, or will he just? Sometimes
Will
you'll
he?
see a player just tip their king over and put out their
He's got no
hand and
choice.
admit defeat.
But it's coming, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
And that'll be it.
Oh, okay. Went for the other way to do it. But
Ladies and
there it
gentlemen,
is.
that brings an end to board number 3. Your winner from Plymouth Whitemarsh High School, Austin Connect.
All right. Austin now moves his record to 5-1 on the year. That gives the Plymouth Whitemarsh Colonials a 3. There it is, by the way. That's one way we can keep score. So you can see that each game will have 1 point awarded to either player from LaSalle, the opponent today, or PW. Or in the case of a draw, those are half points. So Plymouth Whitemarsh has technically won the match because we are up 3 boards to 0. But there are 2 boards still in play, and all 4 of these young men would like to win
They certainly
their particular
would.
match. And as it stands right now on the points, as far as points go, it looks like both boards are even still. It's just a matter of the positioning. So are the 4 players happy with their positioning for the later stages of this game? So we're watching, once again, we're watching board 2. This is John Curitin from LaSalle and Alex Spurka for Plymouth Whitemarsh High School. And it looks like it's Spurka's clock is counting down, so it's black's move.
And I think we're going to go to board 1 here. Yes, we are.
We are.
So what's happening here?
Well, it looks like Jack. So we're looking from that view. You know, it might be easier to actually spin it so that it's.
Oh, there we go. You can.
Oh, perfect.
That's a perfect shot right there. If we can hold that for a minute or so, just
And
to.
again, if you look at the card for Jack, which is visible there, he's only made what looks to be about 14 moves. These guys they've not played quick, but chess isn't a game that has to be played fast. But if we go another 20 minutes and they have played at the pace that they have currently played at, they're going to have to pick it up because there'll be a lot of pieces on the board. All right, so Jack, it looks like he moved his bishop.
Was it his knight or his bishop there? Where were we going?
So he's got, I think we're 1 or 2 moves behind here.
There we go.
Okay, so we've got it now. These two are very good. And again, it's hard to anticipate what they're thinking for the both immediate future in this game and the long-term future of this game. But you will start to see pieces being captured. That'll open up the board a little bit. That'll open up some new options. And we'll see which Chase and Jack choose to do on that. Now, you see board 3, the two gentlemen aren't sitting there any longer. So what generally happens with a lot of our matches, especially if they end quickly, is what, John?
Well, if they end quickly, what they'll do is they'll take their board, they'll take their notation. We usually supply an extra room where they will go and they'll talk out the game. So they may actually kind of replay things. They'll talk with each other. Maybe I should have did this. Maybe I should have did that. And it is used as a kind of a teaching tool, learning tool, in order to kind of better your game and possibly, just try to just enhance your game to the point where you can become a better player.
So as we're watching board 1, we actually have Evan Cohen back here with us in our broadcast room.
From LaSalle High School.
That's right. So, Evan, welcome. I'm going to take the mic, turn it toward you. And so, did you feel anything different about playing on camera tonight? Was it any kind of a different experience for you?
I'd say it was definitely interesting because it's obviously nothing I've done before, but I tried to sort of just not think about it too much when I was playing and just focus on the match. But it was a little bit, it's definitely different, and it was an interesting experience.
So can you kind of walk us through that point where you made
We saw it in your
that
face.
mistake.
That rook. Ugh.
What did you realize and when did you realize it?
Well, I think at that point I was down a pawn, and I was thinking a little bit too far ahead about getting the pawn back and just sort of evening it back up. And I sort of just missed the simple that, like, I wasn't able to take the rook back, I think was the move. You could probably see I was
We saw it.
definitely
We
very
saw it.
frustrated at that moment.
Because it was almost like you reached back for it again.
Yeah.
So, Evan, what year are you at LaSalle?
I'm a freshman at LaSalle.
Whoa, freshman. So that means we're going to be seeing 3 more years of Evan.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's not good, Evan. And you're a board 3 today. So you'll be playing against us. Now, we hear that your mother actually went to Plymouth Whitemarsh High School.
That is
Tell us a little bit about
Oh,
her
yeah, tell us.
and what she remembers about PW. Gosh, boy, Evan, I hate to say it, but John and I have been around a long time. There's a good chance that we might have had her in class.
Well, my mom was class of 1990, I think was the year.
1990, you think? All right.
Pretty sure.
All right. It's safe to say I was not here teaching in 1990.
But yeah.
What? So tell our viewers.
So
And this,
what,
and this is a little shout out to Mom. What is your mom's maiden name?
My mom's name is Renee Turchi. So.
We know the Turchies. Wait a minute. Related to Pete Turchi?
Pete Turchi? I don't think
Okay.
Okay. All right.
So, well, the Turchi name is one that's a kind of a gold mine here at Colonial. So there is a teacher who is kind of a legendary that was part of the Turchi family here. So we're on, as we're talking to Evan, we're on board 1 here. We don't want to lose sight of the fact that we've still got 2 boards in action as we have Evan talking to us. And just trying to get a decipher on whose turn it is. It's a little tough to tell when you don't see the clock.
Okay.
Here we go. We got a nicer view now.
Yeah, a little bit.
So it looks like Jack's clock is counting down. So it's Jack's move. And now you've seen the scoreboard updated. That's generally how you'll see it. Again, Marco Chan and John Sun, who aren't getting a chance to play today, they have gone back and forth on board 5.
It is kind of nice to have that flexibility. I mean, they pretty much are pretty equal players. We do lose John Sun next year, but Marco does return. He is a junior.
Yeah, so we definitely want to put it out there that we are going to be looking for some young chess
we are.
players.
Yes, we are. If you're out there, you get in contact with myself, John Stodmeyer, here at Plymouth Whitemarsh High School, or Robert Culp. We are the chess contacts.
So, all right, as we look in, and we're getting a look at Chase looking into the camera there. Evan, so Dr. Renee Turchi, as she is a distinguished graduate here at Plymouth Whitemarsh High School. So that is a huge honor. And are you familiar with Renee? How does that relation work out?
Well, she's my mom, so.
That's your mom.
Wait, hold on a second. So I am caught off guard here a little bit too. Wait. We just were informed that, Evan's mom is a former graduate. No big deal. She is a distinguished graduate of Plymouth Whitemarsh High School? Are you kidding me right now?
Unbelievable.
That's like she's on the wall of honor.
Here at the high school. That is phenomenal. And I don't want to lose sight of the fact that Jack is playing still, but that it is kind of boggled our minds back here in the announcement booth that you're her son.
Awesome.
And before you leave here, were you here on the day that she got inducted into the
Hall of Fame?
I believe I was.
Where are you?
Okay, so you're aware of where that is, and out there by our nice new gym, we have all of our distinguished graduates now on that beautiful digital board that you can find information for and when people were graduated.
Well, we really appreciate you coming back and joining us here, Evan. Good luck to you, and
guess what? We'll be seeing them at least for 3 more years.
At least for 3 more years, and make sure you tell your mom that you had a little shout out for her so that she could watch this on CITV.
Well, I'm sure she's watching live now.
I'm sure she is, yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
So also joining us is Austin Connect, who was our Board 3 winner. Let me, off camera, congratulate Austin. Austin, congratulations. You want to walk us through that match a little bit? Were you ever concerned? Was there anything unusual about the match? Tell us a little bit about it.
That match, definitely. There were some times where he had some good moves, and I was scared he was going to make. One, I was worried that he was going to make queen to f4 when my pawns were staggered way above my king, and that could have led to a checkmate if I wasn't extremely careful. But he didn't make the move, luckily, and I was able to just speed run my through the match and checkmate him.
I'll
But-
tell you, we were actually talking to Evan before he came in, and when he made the mistake, you saw it we were watching it on screen, and you saw it in his eyes. He moved that rook, and down came your bishop.
Yeah.
And he was like, he wanted so bad to take that move back because he saw it after the fact.
Did his hand actually leave the rook? Because I think if
It
his hand
did.
was,
It did. We
Okay,
were talking about it actually. And as soon as he let it
let
go.
I mean, millisecond let it go, he instinctively knew that
Yeah.
that was the wrong move. So I'm just watching. I'm just making sure that it looked like someone was ready to move there, so I didn't want to miss it.
So we did jump back here to board 2, and just a kind of a quick update here, Bob, if you would give us on board 2. Still, again, it's kind of looks.
Well, it looks like they have traded, and they've captured another pawn, as we now see that each player looks to have 4 pieces captured total for a total of 8 points. So as far as points go, it's still even. But positioning, Austin, what are your thoughts
Yeah,
on the
exactly.
positioning? Here we go. Right?
Let's go right to the master here of board 3. And see what you see here on board 2.
Well, now things are happening. So now it looks like a knight was just taken and captured.
I mean, it's hard to tell because from this position, it's hard to see exactly what pieces are where because it's like sideways. But I feel like Alex seems to be more a defensive position. It seems, from my point of view.
Wouldn't that be the natural position for black
Yeah.
in the beginning and middle stages of a game, though? Is
Yeah.
to be possibly a little bit more defensive?
Yeah, and plus with Alex's playing style, he usually goes Sicilian and then plays really defensively, and only towards like the end of the middle, towards the end game, he gets really aggressive and starts trading a lot of pieces.
And I think we've
That is
started.
correct
That has
now.
begun. It looks like that has
So our
begun.
camera crew have done a fantastic job now of getting these late moves. We're starting to see a lot. So, good shout out to Ty Green and Nick Cruz here. They are capturing a lot of the action. The players at one point, late in the game especially, it almost gets a little distracting to keep notation. And at the very end of the game, not to say that either one will get to that, but a lot of times they will even stop taking notation because they just want to use the time.
There's
to
another
think.
piece off the board.
Yes.
He's just going
I mean, you
Well,
play
and there's another
45
piece
minutes
off the
of a
board.
match. You play 45 minutes of a match, an hour of a match, and then it really comes down to like 5 minutes worth. Because
Everything prior to this was positioning. Everything was
and
leading up to
furious.
this,
There
and now
we
there's
go.
another piece off the board.
Fast and Furious.
I'm pulling my hair out back here. It's hard for me to keep up. There's a lot happening.
And we're back to board 1.
This is board 1.
There's still a lot of pieces on that board. Jack, I know, moves very slow when it comes to this,
But now they're both, Jack is at 20 minutes and his opponent is at 17 minutes. So they're starting to move in toward the end game here.
Just not a whole lot happening.
Black has, which is Chase, certainly has taken a defensive position for sure. There aren't a lot of attack pieces that have even crossed the 5th rank. Now we're back to board 2.
Jesus.
So Alex has a queen, a rook, and 6 pawns, I believe. And it looks like his opponent has. Does his opponent only have 5 pawns? Am I seeing that correct?
Yeah, it looks like 5 pawns.
So, as far as points go, as it looks right now, it looks like Alex is up 1 point. He has 1 more pawn than John. I see my partner kind of looking around. We're all craning our necks back here to try to get an angle, which isn't going to make any sense because we're looking at a flat TV.
Yeah.
So
We're not getting the angle.
this isn't actually work like it does in real 3D.
Unfortunately.
Now, it looks like it might be John's move, so he may get that 1 point advantage.
No,
right?
No, it looks like
That's
Alex.
Alex's
Alex is up.
Oh, you're right. Alex's clock is counting down.
And his side is up. So.
Back to board one.
Okay. And as we kind of alluded to earlier, board one will be most likely the last board to finish, barring anything unusual here. And that's typical. I would say that Jack has closed out. Has he closed out
Just about every match.
just about every match?
It
that's
always
been his
has,
board.
has come down. Even Alex, for that matter.
But Alex usually moves like a little bit faster because he takes like a little bit less time to.
He does. I certainly agree.
yeah.
He does. He does move a little bit faster than Jack. All right, so it's still LaSalle's move.
John, I've just gotten a text from one of our people watching out there, and they want to know, what's this en passant?
Oh, you're really going to put that on me? I'll tell you what. You know who could really explain en passant? Austin, take it away.
Thanks. When a pawn, so if you're from White's perspective, you have a pawn on the 5th rank, and Black moves a pawn from its 7th rank right next to it on the 5th rank, you can take it diagonally where it would be if it moved 1 square. It's kind of hard to explain without having a visual
actually show
representation.
it,
Why
right.
does that rule exist?
Because
recall?
it's the way I've been explained it too is it's unfair if you can just move your pawn right past it, never give the pawn
Never get a chance to take it.
Yeah,
Right.
because it moves through the 6th rank to get to the 5th rank, so I guess it can attack. I've never been.
That kind of makes sense, though, because you never really do have the opportunity to be able to take that pawn.
Yeah.
So it kind of bypasses that. So that rule is in existence. Interesting. Can you do it more than once?
Not with the same pawn, but if
No,
it's
no,
like
I meant throughout the game. If it were to happen.
yeah, why
Yes.
not?
Okay.
It can be done multiple times.
And we just want to make sure that our viewers that are out there watching,
Well,
begin to understand
it's
this
one of
very
the
complex game.
it's sort of the more well-known term. It's one of those terms that some people know about in chess. So they know about castling, they know about en passant, and they know about capturing. So Jack and his opponent Chase. Don't worry about that. That was just a priceless vase that just
now it
fell
looks
back
like
here in the studio.
here we have a little better view of an angle. We've adjusted our angle here a little bit.
Oh yeah, our camera guys have.
I
done
tell you
some-
what, they are on top of it today.
I love it. So
They are working right along with us to give us the bird's eye view.
yeah, and there's a lot there in the middle of that board. They're even in points. They each have 5 points of their opponent's worth of pieces. They're moving down. It looks like Austin. Exactly how many? Oh, I know you use the book, but how many slots are there? Is it 20 or 25 on the traditional notation card?
Per column is 25.
All right, so it looks like these guys are about 20 moves into their game each, which isn't really a lot per se. But again, these guys are the more deliberate thinkers, and there'll be a lot more.
And a much
moves.
better angle on this board
This is
as
phenomenal.
well.
I love it. I love it. That's why we come to Plymouth Whitemarsh High School. We make the adjustments. We don't make excuses in the Colonial School District. We make adjustments.
It's all about the angle.
That's exactly right. So now that we got a better look at this board, a piece we did not see. There's a pawn behind that rook.
La pawn.
So there was a couple pieces that we did not see, but I believe Alex is still up 6 pawns to 5, correct? Yeah. So Alex is still up 1.
Advantage Plymouth Whitemarsh.
That doesn't necessarily mean he has the better position.
No, it certainly does not.
Although in this specific case, I think he does.
Okay. All right. So
Because, see, Alex here has 2 pawn islands while his opponent has 3. He can use the 5 pawns on the left side of the board next to his king. They're all connected so they can all protect each other, versus his opponent has 3 together and 2 individuals.
All right, so now it's Alex's move. So let's do a little anticipation here, Austin. Why don't you tell us, if this were you, what are you doing?
If I were Alex, well, to me, it seems he wants to. Well, I don't know, because the rook doesn't seem to be in any sort of trouble, at least not from what I'm seeing. Even if he pushes his c pawn to the third rank, it's not going to do anything because the queen is protected by itself. So the rook isn't pinned there. But what I would do is I would.
How about bringing the rook all the way down to the last rank?
What do you mean, rank 1 or rank 8?
Rank 1. So go to, what is that?
B1?
B1.
His rook is still on the first rank, so it wouldn't be good right now. But if he did,
But if you move it to B1 and you can't take your rook because you're going to take his queen.
Correct.
yeah.
So, right. If
So-
he moved down, go ahead.
So if he would take your queen, I guess that would
Then
be
you
a
would
good
then you
move.
would take his rook.
Yeah, and put him in check.
Yeah, this is interesting.
Yeah, that's actually, I didn't even see that. Yeah. Good
That's
thinking.
because of the angle. See, we're looking directly at the TV with our great camera angle, and you're on the side
See,
here.
I'm
a little
liking
bit.
this. I'm liking this move. I think he should go B1 with the rook.
And Alex is going to be under 10 minutes here
Very
in
shortly.
45 seconds. So, not again, 10 minutes is still a decent amount of time at this point in the game, but at the same time, it's not an exorbitant amount of time. And there you see that LaSalle's 5-second delay has just gone off.
And time-wise, what are we looking at here, Robert?
LaSalle's got 12 minutes, and that is chase, and Jack has 17 minutes plus.
I'm guessing Jack just moved his knight to, what is it, D5, because it looks like he wants to push, or put one of those knights on, what is it,
Well,
E7?
Jack has certainly threatened his opponent's queen, so his opponent is going to be moving his queen in this move. It's just a matter of where he moves that queen. So it's just a matter of we're watching to see where Chase decides to put his queen, and let's actually we'll come back to it.
There it is.
Oh, there it is.
I was able to predict the move there.
You're 2 for 2 on your predictions. I've got to buy one of those crystal balls you got over there.
Now, all right, let's flip it around here. So let's take a second. Now we're in LaSalle's shoes.
What would be
What
his
is
best
he
move?
doing? This is tough. This is a tough decision here.
Yeah, Alex has put him in a little bit of a predicament.
He's in a pickle.
Your good old-fashioned chess pickle.
I'm not sure if there really is a good way to get out of it. The only thing I'm seeing is queen to C1 or A1, because he needs to be able to defend against. He's going to take on E1 if he doesn't do that, because he can't take the queen like we said already. So he's going to lose.
So he's going to have to.
Yeah.
He's going to have to at least get a rook out of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I see what you're saying here.
So he is, in fact, under 10 minutes. The queen, this game's getting down in time as well.
Yes, we're getting to the nitty gritty.
So Chase is down to roughly 10 minutes. Jack has the luxury of 7 more minutes of positive time.
Was that the move you were talking about there, Austin?
No, I was talking about a different move.
Oh, okay.
But that
So,
We'll see now. He kind of protects his rook.
and defends against the getting his queen taken.
I think. What you trade here? Trade rooks here?
I would trade, honestly. I always love
Because
to
he
be
still has
aggressive.
the pawn advantage.
Yeah.
he does,
So-
but boy, that leaves just queens and pawns.
Queens and pawns.
That's honestly, that's always
That'll
fun to
definitely
play.
make the game move now
It'll
really
move,
faster.
But from a player's perspective, that's, you're talking one square at a time.
There's a distinct advantage on time here. The player John from LaSalle has 18 minutes?
He has double the time that
Double
Alex
the time.
has.
Alex needs to pick up the pace
So-
just a bit, I think.
Okay.
Oh,
Jack.
Jack accidentally dropped his queen.
So yeah, he traded.
So he
He's
does
trading.
trade.
All right, he's going with Austin's
So then
impulse there.
And
And now we are down to a board
Here it is.
of
Queens and-
and pawns.
and La Pawns.
But
now he's gonna
Alex has a 1-pawn advantage.
and he's definitely going to use that, especially like when I was talking about earlier about the his 5 pawns connected there. He's going to start pushing and start putting a lot of pressure on the king side. At least that's what I would do. I don't know if he will.
And honestly, this is usually a hard position for your novice chess players. They just don't have the vision to see a board with pawns. It's a very difficult thing to do. So these guys being very good and highly experienced players, they can think 4 or 5 possible. Whoa, here we go. So on board 1,
Is that Jack just lost his knight?
and it looks like his opponent is about to lose his bishop. It's just a matter of, will Jack take it with the pawn or will he take it with the queen?
Interesting.
If he takes,
We just
well,
had a
Alex moved.
second look there. We'll get back to that.
Alex has moved, and
I moved his queen to d6.
Yes. So he's going to threaten to pick off that pawn on c2.
But he left the e pawn hanging.
He did.
yes, he did.
Yes, he did. So we'll see if John takes the pawn on e7. Now he's got more time, so he can take a little bit more of his time. Alex he's under 8 minutes, so
Yeah.
he doesn't have the luxury of time just yet. There's still so there's about 15 pieces on that board total.
But I tell you, you could take that time all the way down to 1 second, like we saw last week, and play for 10 minutes and still win a game,
Oh my God.
which was unbelievable. Because
All right, he does take
delay.
that pawn.
He
so, and now the question will
So, Al,
be,
which pawn is Alex going to take?
I would say take the c pawn.
Take the C pawn,
and he does. So what everybody here anticipated has occurred.
And he's threatening that other pawn.
So now we're down.
Well,
All right,
puts him in
puts him in
check.
check.
Protecting the pawn and making him move his king.
He does do that. So, as Austin is caught first, he now protects the threatened pawn on 4A or A4. He has only one move, and you know my pet peeve, if you only have one move,
Why waste time doing it?
don't take forever to make the move.
And that was one move.
Now,
Now you can get his opponent can get the pawn on the d file with there you go.
so this turns interesting quickly here. Now he's given up the pawn on A if Alex so chooses to take it.
How about bringing the queen back to C4? What does that? Does that do anything?
Well, he's in check.
Oh,
C4.
Alex is in
Oh, Alex is in check.
Yes,
I'm looking.
he is.
Yeah,
I
that's
did not see that.
That's what I was saying. He loses it.
That is going to turn the game even.
That is going to turn the tides.
Ruh-roh, raggy.
Hold on, no, because Alex will still have a pawn advantage because he can take the a pawn.
Oh, he will take the A pawn. That's correct. All right, so here we are, back
All
to
right,
board
so
He
one,
took with the pawn.
These guys are a little bit more even in time.
and back. What?
So
He-
Alex
he went
did
back.
go back.
He did go to the back rank.
Alex was tilting that king there. It made me a little nervous.
Alex wouldn't give up.
He could let go of it. And we're back to.
Oh,
Is he
no.
going for a draw?
And, so a draw will be 3 consecutive on both sides. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's the
So-
same position.
So he's going now. Alex is not going to move the king.
If he
back.
does, that's a draw.
that would
is
be
it?
a draw. So Alex won't make that mistake. He's either going to push the pawn or he's going to push the king up.
Yeah, that guy's hoping. The
Diagonally.
opponent is hoping for, I think, a draw.
Wow.
But
Looks like Jack here.
The
is
answer is
forked.
always no unless you
Jack's forked.
ask.
Yeah, with the knight on
Knight on the bishop.
e3.
So Jack actually. Oh, wait a minute now. Jack he's being tri-forked here.
He is. He's got a bishop.
He's not happy about that.
He is not
There it goes,
happy
Alex.
about that. He cannot be happy about that.
So Alex has avoided the draw by moving. Now this resets everything. So every move now is a first move. So the question will be, will he take the pawn? All right, so we're back here. Jack has moved the queen
Just adjust Jack's
back to
piece.
E2. You would think that he's going to take the rook because that's a 2-point swing. He has moved. Okay, we got a lot happening on a lot of different boards.
There's a lot of
We
stuff
got
going
smiles
on right now.
cracking. It's a beautiful thing. All right, so let's take a quick look here. We've got. It looks like. Is Jack down 1 point? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. He's down 2 points.
Jack's lost his rook. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
So he is down 2 points.
But his bishop is on a good diagonal, though.
Never count Jack out.
This is
Yeah,
true.
Jack-
That's exactly right. Just because Jack is down, it does not mean he is out.
Yeah.
Okay, he has got 2 rooks right in the middle of the board.
On Jack's queen, I believe. One of them is, isn't it?
No.
No. Okay.
His queen
The
is
angle
on,
there a little.
His queen is on F1.
Yeah, and the E file is open while the other rook is looking at that D pawn.
But Jack does have a pawn that is being threatened by the rook. But again, I would move to protect the pawn, but Jack's probably got 5 moves ahead of me and is thinking about positioning.
He's probably got something up his sleeve.
I'm not sure if it is a good move, but this is something I'm just thinking about is pushing the F pawn to F6.
But I got to tell you,
No, here we go.
Chase's position looked pretty strong to me personally. I mean, he's got both rooks on the back rank. He's got pawns in front of his king.
So has anything changed in this game, which we are back to board 2?
Well, we've got the queen being threatened by Alex's pawn.
Alex is still up a pawn.
He could just slide the queen down to F6.
Alex down to 3 minutes remaining.
He goes
Wow.
diagonally.
He could have taken the F pawn if he wanted to.
He's really trying to force.
Well, he can take out the other pawn, so he's going to take out the pawn on A6. After Alex moves his king out of check. Alec has 2 options here. He can push the king up, or he can slide the king back.
I don't know that I would push up.
He could trade queens if he wanted to.
And that's what Alex is going to do. Alex is going to use his 1 pawn advantage.
A good move.
Alex is tired of playing games. And
All right, back
that's
to board
a
one.
lot of times, honestly, that's personally the way I like to play chess. If I'm up a couple
Trade.
points
Just
or a
trade,
piece, I'll
trade,
just start
trade.
trading pieces of equal
Stay
value,
even.
knowing that in the end, I've got more points or pieces on the
All
board.
right, there we go, Jack.
Jack does move to protect the pawn on D4.
Time-wise, pretty even. Alex is down to 2
Alex
minutes and
is
50
down. Yeah,
seconds.
Alex is down to 250. We should not. He does not trade. He opts to take.
Check.
He's going to force him. He's only got 1 move. He makes it quickly. He's smart to hit the timer quickly, and now Alex is on time. And it's hard not to watch the clock when you get down under 3 minutes.
I'm not sure
They
what would be a good
each
move.
have equal points on the board right now. I feel as though John has worked himself to even in this match.
All right, yeah, I would agree.
I'm not sure if it's in Alex's interest to push his pawns to threaten the king or go back to protect the f pawn.
I think personally, I'm pushing the king.
You better start doing something soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is now under 2 minutes.
Oh boy. Oh boy. He doesn't show it. Although he did let out one deep breath
Okay,
there.
back to this game, and time-wise,
All right, these guys have cleared some pieces here.
they've cleared pieces. I don't think the
All right,
opponent.
Alex has brought the queen all the way back
Check.
to b8. Check. He quickly moves. He's very conscious of Alex's short time.
Yes,
He's
he
making
is.
quick moves, whether they may be the best moves or not. He's forcing Alex to move quickly, which may or may not be. That may be something that helps him win this match. You can win on time. If you run out of time, you lose.
Down to 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Alex has got to pick it up.
He
Yeah.
certainly does.
At least from our perspective here in the booth.
Yes, of course we're not out there, but
He touches and he's
he
moving.
moves.
I don't know that he's going to go for a trade here. I think he's still. Both players now are trying to win the game. I think his best route at winning is eclipsing Alex's time, whereas Alex may still feel that he can pull off.
Check.
Okay,
Check.
so
Good.
he's going to
No
go
time
for a
elapsed on
trade.
Alex's part.
Yeah.
Trade.
If he does trade, Alex gets
Right
a pass
now-
pawn.
Now,
Can't
but
trade.
John has plenty of time to think, but he doesn't take time. He's putting them right in check. And there goes 3, 2, 1. There's his delay. It's over.
Delay
He's
is over.
and he's
Time is
counting down
down.
again. And Alex is counting down.
And Alex is quickly approaching 1 minute left on his time.
He goes back to the center
He has 1 minute and 4 seconds remaining.
of his little pawn defense there. It was probably better that he didn't push up to h5.
Okay, we jump back to board 1.
And it's going to be Chase's move for LaSalle.
And Jack approximately has 7 minutes and 10 seconds remaining. And his opponent, 6.5 minutes. Just
Jack
under
is
6.5
still
minutes.
down 2 points.
Oh, his opponent sees a move
No,
here.
actually, is he down 3 points? He's down a pawn too, right? 1, 2, 3. Oh, no. He's down 2 points.
This is a very interesting game.
There are some players that prefer to have certain pieces at the end of games.
Yeah.
Alex with a quick move. Lost no time on that move.
He did not, which we are happy to see as the chess sponsors.
Here we go again.
He's back.
That's the second time.
Alex is saying, I don't want to draw this way, so Alex is going to have to come up with.
So Alex is like, I'm going to draw. If you're going to do it again, we're going to draw.
But that may be what John's looking for, honestly.
Or Alex, for that matter.
Yeah, Alex seems the one who needs to draw now because John has
He's on the
14
short
minutes.
time. I can feel the viewer's excitement. I can actually sense it here in the booth. All right, so he breaks the chance at a draw, and he now has pulled the queen out to
Alex-
c5.
Alex now under a minute.
Alex is under a minute. But it's Alex. Alex has been here before.
He has been here before, but he seems a little perplexed.
It just seems that way.
It just
He
seems
knows
that
what
way.
he's doing.
down to 14
Oh, Alex. Now, John's going to have to do something with his pawn on f2 because he's not going to allow Alex to just slide down, take the pawn, and put him in check.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, he doesn't have
we're
to.
going
The
to
queen's
see a
protecting
little
her.
bit. Oh, okay, he just slides the king over.
Alex needs to move quickly.
He does. There's 3.
Alex.
There's his,
His delay is over.
and he moves over.
He
and
moves to
he's
46
What's
seconds
wrong with pushing
remaining.
the H pawn?
Well, John no doubt has the luxury of time right now. There is, he's 100% being up 14 minutes.
No reason for the opponent to rush.
Nope. He can run this down. Does give Alex time though to sit here and think about different combinations
I mean, there's
gives-
not very.
Right. Both players are going to look at options here. But once John moves, Alex has 5 seconds of give time before his clock starts counting down.
There it is, one.
Alex is our only player this year so far with a draw
That is
Yeah,
correct.
that's true.
through half of the season.
And things are not looking good at this point. He is under 40 seconds.
He's taking his time.
He is taking his time. He's quickly approaching 30 seconds. He's now
And
under 30 seconds.
What is
If
he
I'm
doing?
John, even if Alex offers a draw at this point, John, why would he take it, right?
Would not.
Yeah, there's no
I
reason.
mean, John's
to.
got to be thinking win here.
There it is. Alex has 20 seconds remaining on his clock.
People are, they're on the edge of their seats at
They
home.
are on the edge of their seat.
I'm
I
on
mean,
the edge of my seat here in the booth.
Come on, this is chess.
That's right. We're talking about chess. This is a game that goes back through the Middle Ages, through time before the Middle Ages.
I mean,
This is the oldest game there is.
you have nothing else. I mean, the Eagles are done. You have nothing else to watch.
Right.
Watch Plymouth Whitemarsh
The
chess.
Sixers are on the road where they're like deer and raccoons and squirrels. They get killed on the road. Yeah, but I'm breaking down a little mentally here, guys. So, no. All right, but Alex does not waste a second.
He did not. He's
on
at
that
20
move,
seconds.
But he's gonna have to start pushing his pawns forward.
That's what I'm saying. the
He's
H-
got to be on the attack here. He's gonna give up.
Well, the opponent's going to have to move his queen. He's not going to trade queens, I don't think.
It'd be to his own disadvantage if he did that.
So what can we anticipate? Won't be able to put him in check. All right, so Alex has 5 seconds to think about what he's gonna do, and he's got
And
it.
he does.
How's with him and his king?
Let's see. Let's see if he pushes the king. The
He
question
can.
is, would you push the king up to F5 or G5?
Well, G5 is
H5.
blocked.
I'm sorry, H5.
H5 wouldn't. I don't know why you do H5 though, because the pawns are blocking his advancement past that.
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna have to push that king up.
Yeah.
He on time. He's gonna have to do some. He's gonna have to do some unordinary things
Yes,
here.
he's going to do some finagling.
Now, from a
Look-
break
look at
from
this.
the intense action on board 2.
Back over to board 1 here. Jack with a quick
And-
move. Oh,
All right, we got some pawns moving.
and that threw.
This is where you push the H5.
So now
that threw
he cannot push his king
He
forward.
Alex lost a second there. It's down to 19 seconds.
And we've got Chase here, who's approaching 3 minutes, so he's going to be on short time. So just when you thought you were biting your nails down on your left hand, you're going to have to switch over to the right hand for board 1 here.
Things are getting
I'm not sure what Chase.
very
expects
interesting.
here.
Chase. I feel like
What?
Chase's queen is at a disadvantage over all the way there on the outside
Interesting.
row on A.
Very
At this
interesting.
point in the game, you want that queen in a little bit better position. But he does have 2 rooks in the center of the table. All right, so
Alright.
let's see what Alex is at.
Alex loses
Alex,
no
Alex
time.
yes, he is. Still at 19 seconds.
His opponent down
Although
now down
he's
to
only
11.
moved the
now.
king back and forth here. So he's actually running his opponent's time down.
Yeah,
he
he's
has
just-
closed.
just
He has
trying to-
closed the 14-minute gap,
He's trying to stay in.
and he's down to roughly a 10-minute and change gap.
I'm not sure why he doesn't push the H pawn. Maybe I'm not seeing something, but the H pawn, even if it's one space, I feel like would be better than not at all.
All right, so Jack he's on the plus side. He's 2 minutes on the plus side of time, but it's not unlimited. These guys, this match is going to be ending. Like, there is an end to this match. We'll be going off the air by 5:30. And here we are. We're back to Alex.
Alex needs to make a quick move.
Yes, and whoa, he puts him in check.
And he saved his time.
We did not see that one coming.
We did not.
pushes his king up.
Alex needs to think.
Alex moves him back
quick.
into
Alex
check.
moving quick.
Will he push the pawn up to protect, or will he move the king back? He cannot push his king forward, as Alex's pawn has those two squares covered.
Alex currently standing with 19 seconds remaining on his clock.
John is about to go under 10 minutes, though. He's about to be in single digits for minutes, and he is now. He's moving back. Alex is headed back.
I think Alex is looking for a
draw.
now.
Draw
as
here,
the tables have turned. Okay, we'll see what Alex does here. Oh, and
The draw.
if John moves his king back,
That's it. That'll be a draw, right?
but he would have to move his king back on.
the same, right?
Right.
The same.
So we'll see what John wants to do here.
Yeah, he's not going to do that.
I doubt it highly myself.
Maybe
What square is he going to go back? He's going to go behind the king?
he
Oh, no, he
pushes
moves the pawn up. Okay.
Alex needs to move quickly,
He does.
Come on, Alex.
3, 2, 1, go.
and he doesn't.
Alex isn't
And-
moving.
Alex is not moving.
That's all right. But
Alex is down.
Alex is down to 10 seconds, 9 seconds. Whoa. Okay, so things are going to happen super fast here.
Alex got to move quick. Alex down to 8 seconds.
Alex has got to move very quickly. Okay. All right, let's see what happens here. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Come on, Alex, make the move.
Oh, he's
You
going.
lost a
I
second.
don't know about that.
That's not.
So
that's,
he's going for
that's
that
trouble.
pawn. Oh, wait, no, he's
Oh,
going to
he
back
does
it
put
up.
himself-
I
does-
thought he was going.
put himself in a little bit of.
I thought he
position
was going
there.
to try to free up the other pawn.
What's going to happen
He
here?
couldn't. That would have lost
Wow,
him the game.
this is. Both of the options are dwindling here
It's going to be a draw.
because pawns can only move forward, whereas all the other pieces can move backward. Pawns can only go forward. So the two pawns on the A rank, those two aren't moving. They're out of the game right now.
Got to force a draw here. I think the best scenario, clearly, in Alex's
His draw.
standpoint, is draw. Yes.
He hasn't offered it to them though. At least I haven't seen it.
We're dead even here.
It's quiet for us in this room. It's possible that
But he's not going to offer a draw because he knows that Alex's time is only at 7 seconds. But as we saw
he's
last
gonna
week,
let it run
as we
down.
saw last week, 1 second can last 10 minutes.
that's right. Okay. Alex.
Didn't lose any time.
So, John has the luxury, again, of time. John is looking for the win. Alex is hoping for a draw. Now, when Alex goes back and he replays this game later, or he looks at his notations, he'll make the determination on where John took the upper hand in this match. But if he can work a draw,
That would be advantage Plymouth Whitemarsh.
every half it helps in the standings. We're only halfway through the year. Plymouth Whitemarsh currently sits in second place in the league.
Interesting.
Yep.
Quick move. Yeah, that's
We're back to.
well. This
Now we
game.
have LaSalle's opponent down.
LaSalle is down at 44 now. 40 seconds. 39 seconds.
Same predicament.
It really is for both these young players. Not inexperienced players, but young players. Ooh, he's protected by that rook.
Okay.
And
And
in the same respect,
yeah, Jack's
got to
under
move
2
quick
minutes.
too. Yes. Where we
All
at?
right.
Where we at here?
When we last left him, how many seconds did he have?
Six.
He's got
Six.
6.
Five.
5.
Oh, Alex almost missed the clock. He probably lost himself an extra second.
Check
Let's-
it.
Oh my goodness. Oh boy.
It's going to be a draw.
I don't know about that.
No, you don't think so?
I don't
The
know.
time-wise,
He has 4 seconds. He's got to move quick.
Even if his opponent went for the A file pawn,
Both of
Spark
those
up
young
and
men
I'll be
have
able to
played
do that.
very well. Like, let's not lose sight of the fact that these.
No, this is great chess.
Actually, all
Yeah.
3 matches have been good matches. So, for our viewers out there, they've gotten a nice set of matches to see. These have not been
Alex
blowouts.
moves quick again. Oh,
These have
now
not
he's
been
jumping back.
blowouts by any stretch of the imagination.
He's got to move. He's got to move. He's got to move. He's got to move.
Oh,
He's
this is
gotta
that
move.
pawn.
Oh no, it's gonna be.
What is he doing?
He's
Draw.
that's the game.
no.
he's gonna get the
He's gonna
advantage.
win over there. This isn't good. This isn't good. And Alex knows it.
Yeah. He
Alex,
has to force a
Alex
draw.
can hope for a stalemate, which John has to be careful about here. So I would imagine John's going to start taking his time. And that move's not too difficult.
Oh.
He knocks his king down by accident.
Alex is,
Move up.
oh boy.
This is just a cycle at this point.
This is just going to go back and forth, this one.
To be, yeah.
Oh.
At this point, it's a stalemate. Because back to A8, and no matter
Get
what
out
he
of
does, it's a draw.
It's going to be a draw here, you think?
Mhm.
No matter what?
No matter what.
There
I
you-
think, yeah, I think he is right.
Can we jump back to? We got to go. We got to go. There we go.
Yeah, draw.
Was it a draw?
Yeah, stalemate.
Is that what they declared?
Alex couldn't move his king anywhere.
This is he put Alex in check. Things are wrapping up quickly. There's
So it looked like board 2. We think board 2 was a stalemate, or, which ended in a draw. This
so
one's down.
we have made it very clear that the word board, B-O-R-A-D, is the board of choice
Jack's moving quick.
when it comes to
B-O-R-A-D?
PWHS.
Oh boy.
What did I say?
Are we
said
gonna-
B-O-R-A-D?
Is he going to cross a pawn?
B-O-A-R-D. Excuse me.
21 to 15 seconds. Jack has problems.
Oh
10
my
seconds.
goodness.
That's
Draw.
it.
That's a draw.
Did we just get 2 draws?
I think he offered a draw.
What?
They offered a draw, or did he resign?
Is that?
I don't know. I'm not
Wait a
sure.
minute. Wait,
We don't know what happened.
we're just trying to
We
figure
gotta
out.
send you out.
We don't have audio
Send
out
me out.
there.
You got to tell us what
We're
happened.
making up the audio. Alex is being sent in to be a
All right, ladies and
reporter.
gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back here at CITV just after these fast and furious last 2 matches. We have PW's Jack and Alex with us, and LaSalle High School's Chase and John. And I'd just like to take a minute or two to just kind of quickly recap the fast and furious pace that these players kind of went through. So we're going to go to board 1 first, and our winner, Chase. And Chase, if you would just kind of take us through real quick what it is that transpired there towards the end of the match.
So, I actually thought I was going to lose in the end there. Like, I was really close to even getting checkmated because, he had like a really good attack going, and I kind of, dismissed it for too long, and it was really close at the end,
You did a great job, I have to say, and great job. This was Jack Lieberman's first loss in the league. I know it happens. It happens every once in a while, Jack. So, Jack, why don't you just quickly, why don't you take us through what kind of you were thinking there right towards the end of the match?
I mean, I thought I was winning, as you said, and I played well, I thought. And then out of the blue, I just realized I was losing the exchange. And then I tried everything I could in the end, but his pawns were just kind of promote.
It was a great match. It really, truly was. And we're going to hand the mic over here to my cohort, Mr. Robert Culp, and he can talk a little bit about the board 2 match.
Can I ask John real quick? John, were you very aware of your opponent's low amount of time?
Yes.
And how did you want to use that to your advantage? Were you trying to move as quickly as you could, or were you looking for more position at the end of the game there?
At the end of the game, I was down, and then I came back, and I was really trying to pressure him with time by attacking and perpetual checks.
Okay. And Alex, At what point did you realize that a draw was going to be the result of this game?
Well, I didn't realize that a draw was going to be the result until the last 2 or 3 moves, actually, because I had thought earlier in the game when he was giving me the perpetual checks that I could play on and still maybe try to fight for a win, that it was still up in the air. When looking back, it probably wasn't, and I probably should have just taken the draw. But I tried to play on, and then I think I got into a little bit of trouble, and he was actually the one with the winning chances at the end there. I actually felt very lucky that I was able to get my king back in time to stop that pawn, because he kind of outpositioned me, that he had his king blocking my king so that he could, when he ran over to the other side of the board.
All right, and there you have it. So we want to congratulate these 2 young men, and we want to thank Salle for coming and to Plymouth Whitemarsh High School. It was a terrific match. So the total is 3.5 boards for PW and 1.5 boards for LaSalle. That's how it'll go down in the book. And we look to bring you another match someday in the future soon from CITV at PW. Thanks for watching. Take care.